All right, on the bench today, out of a 1963 Oldsmobile F85, we have a 3-speed hydromatic transmission. It is called a Roto-5. Now this transmission, I believe, I didn't drive the car, but when the manager drove it, he said I think it might have went through the first shift pattern okay, and then the thing just started slipping all over the place. Fluid wasn't too bad. I think they tried to change the fluid, but that didn't do anything. But I have it all apart, and the clutches are bad, and I found something else wrong with which I want to show you. I got the whole transmission laid out. I'm waiting for parts, but I've never worked on one of these before, so I really didn't know what I was in for. That's why I didn't want to film the teardown. I just figured I'd show it to you guys like this. I don't really think I'll ever get another one of these. Funny story, I was speaking to my uncle who's, started in the transmission business in the 60s, and we have our pricing chart from 1966 when the first shop opened, and I was looking on here to see if I could find this particular transmission, and it's actually not on here. This is what the prices are back 1966. And I called him and told him what I had to ask him if he had ever, worked on one of these things. When they had the shop in the 60s, it was just him and my dad. They both opened together. And he says, to tell you the truth, I think the time that he was in business, all the way up to past the year 2000, he said, I think I did 5 of those, and probably the brunt of them were probably in the 60s. So certainly not a common one, and there's a few different Roto transmissions. This one is a 3-speed. I believe there was a 2-speed. Not 100% sure. I also have my repair manual that we had dated 1963, that when we open this, I actually found this unit, and this is there's my bookmark, but this is the Oldsmobile F85 hydromatic. So that's it here. Shows some pictures and tear down step by step. I kind of just tore it down myself, and when I got stuck, I was referring back to pictures and things like that. But again, this is a 3-speed with 1 band, 1 set of clutches, and a fluid coupling that we're going to look at, kind of like a torque converter almost. And that's inside the transmission. There is no conventional converter on the outside that the pump goes into. It goes into a damper, which is bolted to the flywheel. So I like to just show you, because that's still up there, but I would like to show you that once we're done here on the bench. So I think the way, normally when you have 1 set of clutches and 1 band normally would, kind of be like a 2-speed, but this actually is a 3-speed. It also has a reverse cone, which I'll show you. So I believe how this works is it takes off on the band. Here is the band. Takes off on the band, that's 1st gear, and I believe 2nd gear is the fluid coupling, and 3rd gear is a set of clutches. And reverse, which I can show you, is again like a cone. I'm going to show you that. But I found the clutches, these clutches pretty much are bad, very bad, which I'll show you. And the center support that has the rings that feed the direct clutch, one of the rings was frozen. Can't even turn it. So, you're going to be losing a lot of pressure through there. So, I really didn't find too much else with this. Also a bad bearing in the fluid coupling, so we have like an overhaul kit coming. We have the center support coming. We have a kit with the clutches. Steels are okay. And, you know, that's really about what I found. Everything else didn't look too bad. There's 98,000 miles on the car. I'm not 100% sure if this transmission was done before. It probably was, or at least the fluid was changed because it had a regular cork gasket on it. So I think the fluid was changed, but I'll show you the pan also. And that's it. I tore it down because I really didn't know what I was in for. And you know, it's kind of neat because I don't really see too much stuff like this. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. Certainly not your you know, conventional transmission that you see nowadays. So this is a 3-speed hydromatic, you know, and it is called, again, a Roto-5. So let me get a little closer, and I'll just kind of bring the parts up, you know, one by one. And this also has 2 planetaries, and you know, I believe that, you know, like they say, the rule of thumb for 1 planetary will get you 2 speeds. So this was why I believe this is a 3-speed, because there are 2 planetaries. And again, and this particular F85, I think, you know, was unique maybe to this year. And it's funny because we have a bunch of old stock, a bunch of old filters up on the shelf, you know, in the original boxes. And it says, you know, it lists what it's for, and it says except F85. So this is kind of like, you know, one in a kind, this transmission. I don't know if it was made specifically for this car or what the deal was, but it's an interesting unit. And it's funny when I, you know, mentioned it to my uncle, because my dad passed away already, and he goes, oh yeah. He goes, I think I did probably about 5 of those, you know, since he's rebuilding units. So let me get a little close. I want to get one of those boxes down from the shelf too, so I can show you that. So give me a few. I'll be right back. I'll get a little closer too. All right. So first, I want to show you this box. This is the original box that these filters came in, and you can see it says Slim Jim 61 to 63 except F85, and there we go, made in a good old USA there. Probably bought these back in possibly in the 60s. All right, so this is what the filter looks like, and the gasket, which is probably 50 years old. Here's part of the gasket, and this is cork, and the thing just breaks like it's plastic. That's how old this thing is. Now we have on the shelf, you know, probably about 5 of these. Well, that's it. The original box. A little dusty here. Look at that. All right. So let's take a look at this unit. All right, starting from the back. I didn't separate this. Here is the governor. Here is the rear planet. You know, there's a sun gear in here that comes out, but I didn't take anything apart yet for that. I probably got to pull this gear. I'll probably just leave it together because it seems to be okay. But you know what? There might be washers and bearings in there. I'm probably going to have to check. So I got to take this snap ring out. I got to pull that gear off. I got to take these bolts out, slide this off. This is the governor again for shifting. I want to make sure the valve is free in there. And then this sun gear will come out this way, you know, once, or this whole thing will just come out. You know, it'll separate with the bolts. I could probably do this. Let's do this maybe now, so we can take a look at it. I'm going to take the 3 this out. Let's see what we have to do here. All right, so there's another. So I'm going to have to. There's another bolt that is holding this together here. All right, right, so I gotta take this off, so I'm gonna just do that probably tomorrow. So I can get this thing out. Oh, it's loose. It's not even tight. Okay. Alright, so let me put that with that. And it looks like it's on a couple of dowels here. Here's the bearing. This is like the input shaft here, if you will. So that's that. And there's a brass washer here. That looks good. Okay. Got a bearing in here. This all looks fine. But I still have to remove this just to, I want to clean everything. But again, I'll do that tomorrow. And here is the planet. The drum goes on here with a snap ring. Okay, but this looks good. Okay, here is the reverse band drum. I'm sorry, the low band drum. Okay, and this has a washer in here. It's going to go on, and there is a big bushing around here that rides here. So this is going to go in here like that, and the band goes around. That's the little funky band strut. And this is the piston for the reverse band. Reverse band. I keep saying reverse band. The low band or the forward band. All right, then we're going to have the clutch drum. So now the way this is set up, and it has the little, this is the little flange here for the output shaft. All right, so here is the clutch drum, and I like to keep all the bolts together. And the way this gets set up, so we have, I'm going to change the seals here. Here's all our springs. Here's the apply plate. Okay, and this is good with the rings. You got to, you know, where the sealing rings go. So this, we take like this, all right, and we got to flip it, and we line it up with the two dowels. It gets put in place, and then you put the 4 bolts in to hold it in place, so it can't come out this way. Kind of looks like almost a 6F35 or a 6070 setup for the 3.5 reverse clutch. Okay, and these are what the pistons look like. Okay, they go into the fluid coupling. I'll show you that. But these clutches are shot. These actually here, the material is coming off. You know, they're all burnt out. So these things are shot. It's even gone here. So we had some, you know, major slipping going on. And they're just all the same, just all burnt out. Okay, just put all this back together. The stuff was ordered from the company in Jersey called Fatsco. They have pretty much everything we're going to need, including a bearing that we didn't think we were going to be able to get, but we found. You know, they had that too, I believe. They sent pictures and the manager said everything looked okay. Okay, then we have our center support. Okay, now this is the reverse cone. So here is the reverse piston. So I'll be taking that apart, changing the seals, and then this goes on and this goes on. All right, so there's seals also that go in here, and you don't want this center support to turn in the case. So this little sucker goes into the case to keep the center support from turning. Okay, those fits right in here, and it keeps it from turning. and then you have a snap ring that holds that in. All right, so here is, you know, sometimes I would think maybe these crack or something. This looks okay. Reverse was fine, so that looks good there. And here is the problem, which I actually wanted to show you. So you see this bottom ring is spinning free, and this top one is totally frozen. So it can't really seal when the oil comes in. So we got another set. I don't want to even take a chance to try to fix this. So this here turns, this top one does not. And that's pretty much what we're dealing with. So we got a whole nother piece coming. Okay, here's the front planet. Got a washer in there. Sun gear with a couple of washers on it. Okay, and that goes this way, down in here like that. Here is the filter. Got one of these coming. Oh, here's a piece of the clutch material. Here's the filter. O-ring goes in the case for the filter. Okay, and pump. So I took this little screw out here. All right, here is the bell housing. So the pump, you know, you put on here and it bolts in through the back. And it got two new, there's rings here that are good. And that's what it looks like with the pump rides. Okay, it's the bell housing. So I took the, let me just get in a little closer here. So I took the cover off. Okay, it's a vane style pump. All right, you have your charging springs here, and you notice you have two valves here. Okay, one is the main pressure regulator valve, and the other one is the coupling feed limit valve, I believe they call it. But I'm going to be taking all this apart, so I want to make sure everything is nice and free. But I want to kind of do that when I'm working on it, just so I can take it apart, look at it, and just put it right back together again. So I'm kind of just waiting, you know, for the parts in the kit to get here. All right, so that is the pump. All right, so here is the fluid coupling. All right, so the clutches that we just looked at that were no good ride in here. Okay, and this is what this looks like, you know, with all the veins in here. Okay, I want you guys to see, you know, get a good shot at this here. All right, so they call this piece the torque multiplier. Okay, maybe in a converter this would be like the spray. Okay, so that goes here. All right, then you have your bearing, and this is a race. Here is a race, bearing race, and here is the other bearing. And this is the one we need, because this race here is pitted. I don't know if you can see that, but the race is pitted. So we're getting that bearing assembly. All right, there also is a sealing ring on here, and this will come out. Okay, go here, that, and there is actually is like a, oh, here's another bearing set. The right one. Another, we got a gasket here. I'm going to double check the picture I ordered. Yeah, that has to be right because it was next to the torque multiplier. You know, you look at pictures and you try to order the right stuff. But I'm pretty sure I did. I don't think that's a problem. All right, so here's a gasket here. And then we just got to line up . here is the input shaft here. You know, you pull this, it's held together with bolts, so you pull the bolts out and then you pull this piece out. Goes into the pump, and the front seal rides here, and this goes into the flywheel or the so that it goes into the pump here. Front seal rides here, and this goes into like the damper. All right, we got a couple of dowels on here. So it can really only go one way. One way it'll give you a problem to drop in, and the other way it'll drop right in. Of course, I probably got it the wrong way. Easier to put it together the other way. Okay, there we go. Just drop right in. And you put the bolts in, you know, once it's assembled. So this is what that whole thing looks like. That's the coupling. Here is your valve body, along with where the accumulator, there's an accumulator here that rides. Okay, so we got a couple of seals there, a couple of springs. This is your valve body, manual valve here. Okay, this is like the kick down stuff. Separate linkages in the case there. One's in the front, one's in the back. Here's the back of the case with your linkage for like park, reverse, you know, neutral. And on this one, neutral, like what you would normally have, you pull a linkage all the way down, the shifter all the way down, it would be low in your normal car. This was reverse. All right, so, you know, I can kind of click it here. And I had to take pictures with my phone and how all this stuff comes apart because the case is split, you know. And I had to, you know, I'm gonna have to put this thing back together, of course. So I gotta, once it's together, I gotta hook the linkage back up. Here is the case. Here's the other arm that goes onto the valve body. And this back end goes right on here. Okay, you have your band and you have your accumulator here in the front of the unit. And this, like the O-ring for the filter, is inside here. So it's a pretty cool unit. There's a tension plate. There's a tension plate that goes here. Wherever this thing goes. Tension plate that goes there to seal the circuits. Fall down with 2 bolts. And also, here is a filter. And this filter goes in here, like that. Speedo with the cable. Cable goes in the air speedometer. Certainly don't make them like they used to. Well, that's about it. I'll just give you a kind of like a shot across the bench and show you like a lot of the small parts. But it's a pretty cool trans. Hopefully the stuff is coming within the next day or so it doesn't sit like this for too long. But, you know, I can get some help if I needed some help, but I think I'll be all right. I just kind of got to concentrate and maybe, you know, do this thing alone where I'm not getting interrupted every 2 minutes by a phone call or something like that. So let me go take it to underneath the car and show you where the torque converter would be, and then we'll just go back to the bench and I'll kind of just give you a quick scan of it and we'll finish it up. All right, so I'll be right back. We're gonna go into the car. All right, here is a quick shot of the car. Gotta pass the lift here. me just get set up underneath the car and I'll be right back. All right, so here's the damper that can be replaced if needed. It goes into a couple of dowels, and it's spot welded. Here's another dowel here, spot welded here, which is broke, and up here. And a lot of times these springs go bad, and it bolts to the flywheel here. See, we have the bolts out probably because we're going to be replacing this. And from what, you know, the people we talk to say, these things do go bad, you know, quite often, and these are available rebuilt, I believe. So we're going to talk to the client and just let them know what probably should be done. While we have the transmission out, it would just be the part, you know, no extra labor. So really just, you know, you pull the bell housing bolts out and the transmission will just pull out. We really didn't have to take these out, but we're probably going to wind up changing that. And that's it. That's how the transmission, you know, goes in the front of the unit. It'll go right into here, the splines. And I'll take you back to the bench, just give you a quick shot of all the parts, and we'll finish it up. So I'll be right back. All right, here's a quick sweep again of all our goodies here. All right, again, this is a 1963 Olds F85 Roto-5 transmission, hydromatic transmission. There's the fluid cup link, valve body. And here's all the little goodies here. These are for the center support, the seals here for the center support, held in with springs, and then the tensioner to hold everything down. And that's it. So I thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you next one.